New intro. So much love and appreciation to those of you who have been with me for the 2 year period plus that I've been doing this. Thank you for showing your love and support to the channel. And to anybody else who is brand new to the platform and you would like to support the channel, also you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you. So before we get started, to a lot of the people who have always stated on the platform, like, hey, cut the check, the government needs to give us our money, and yada, yada, yada. I want to know, what is your thought process after you hear this video, in which Biden is going to directly tell you that, in a sense, he doesn't support reparations. But depending on specifically what is directly given to him, he will support it if you add in Native Americans, right? So, like I said, pay attention.
Before that you want to see studies that you weren't necessarily ready to say you were for reparations, but you'd be willing to at least look at studies. There are a lot of people who suggested that these studies have been going on for a mighty long time, and why not say now whether you would be for reparations or not?
I know it has to be done now, and you know it too. Let's not wait. Let's do the study and decide whether there should be direct cash payment. But in the meantime, you know it has to be done.
We can find that on Biden.com, but I'm not sure what your answer is to the reparations question.
If in fact there are ways in which to get direct payments for reparations, I want to see it. But why are we waiting around for the study? We can deal with it.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to wait around for the study. That's my point.
No, but they look, they're not mutually exclusive. But I can't believe that whatever it is, the African American community would not support what I'm talking about. In addition to,
I don't think we have to. Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this so we can move on, because we've got to get some phone calls in as well. But let me ask you this then. If in fact a calculation comes to you that you are satisfied with, would you then say, I'm for reparations?
The answer is it would depend on what it was, and will it include Native Americans as well.
In the video, you heard that Biden, when he was asked about 1, 2, or 3 times, he didn't give a definitive answer. And he basically stated that if there were to be some sort of reparations, it would have to include Native Americans as well. So since he decided to bring that up, I decided to bring up this story that you see directly in front of you. This goes all the way back to 2016. The United States government has agreed to pay a total of $492 million to 17 American Indian tribes for mismanaging natural resources and other tribal assets. In a joint press release by the Department of Interior and Justice, Secretary of Interior Sally Jewell stated, settling these long-standing disputes reflects the Obama administration's continued commitment to reconciliation and empowerment for Indian country. Settlements mark the end of a push by the Obama administration to resolve what the United States says is more than 100 lawsuits totaling more than $3.3 billion brought by American Indian individuals and tribal governments against the federal government. The policy of reaching settlements on the disputes, some of which date back more than a century, is part of a campaign promise the president made to American Indians before he took office. You have been ignored by Washington as long as Native Americans, the first Americans. Too often, Washington has paid lip service to working with tribes. Then candidate Obama stated in a speech that the Crow Nation reservation in Montana in May of 2008. My Indian policy starts with honoring the unique government-to-government relationship and ensuring treaty responsibilities are met. Those treaty responsibilities include agreements dating back to the 1800s that made the United States government the trustee for huge swaths of tribal land. The Department of Interior states it manages almost 56 million acres of land on behalf of tribes and handles at least 100,000 leases on that land for a wide variety of uses, including housing, timber harvest, farming, livestock grazing, oil and gas extraction. More than 250 tribes have had assistance. More than 250 tribes have had some assets held in trust by the United States federal government. Under those trust agreements, the United States government must make sure that tribes receive just compensation for the use of their land or resources. Quote, the government brought the land from the Indians, but it did not pay the Indians. A staff attorney with the Native American Rights Fund, who has spent 20 years handling lawsuits against the federal government over alleged trust mismanagement and underpayment. Quote, the United States government would say it held the assets in trust benevolently for the protection of Indian land and money. Flip side of this is that in exchange, the government was supposed to be a good trustee, and it wasn't. Land was not managed well. Money and resources were not managed well either. So you heard smiling Joe Biden basically say that he's not 100% for reparations solely when it just deals with the African American people, right? And then how he needs all of these other things to be done, and he needs some other things added in, more so specifically adding in another group of people. Now we could take this one of two ways, right? We can take this in a way that, all right, well, if we decide to add in the Native American community, which you do have a lot of Black people who are a part of, how much of the money is really going to be going to the Black community? Because we don't really have a huge swath, right, of Black people in America who automatically can say that they have a card that states that, hey, I identify as Native American, I am a part of this tribe, and so on and so on and so on. For the most part, the greater majority of Black people identify as Black Americans. They identify as Black. They identify as descendants of, African slaves, right? Or foundational Black Americans. However, people want to basically put it, basically stating that they have been here, their generations have been here, their bloodline can be traced back here. They didn't just get here, right? All right. And the other way that we can basically look at it as this, right? As soon as we get so close to a talk of reparations, here comes the wrench, right? Here comes all of these other additives that nobody ever asked for, right? So you have the Jewish population, they get reparations, right? You have the Native Americans who have been getting a form of reparations plus land for years, decades, whatnot or whatever. You have other people that just come over and they're getting some type of form of money, right? And then you've had the Asian community who just recently received some type of form of, reparations in a sense, right? Where they were able to get, $50 million, and it's going to go towards their communities to build up infrastructures, schools and jobs, and, all these other types of things, right? Roughly everybody else has had some type of forms of reparations. The only group that has never gotten any of these things, who are what I would say the most deserving, are the Black people, foundational Black Americans, or adios, however you want to sit up there and put it, whatever you want to put yourself under. But like I said before, oddly enough, whenever we get to this conversation, this is the bump that we hit. This is the giant obstacle, right? What else can we add in here so it's just not solely Black people? Can we, add in, any other groups of people? Could we potentially split up the groups? Or it, like I said, it's always something. It's always something. But like I told Black people before, just solely waiting for those to give you something. Of course, yeah, you deserve it, but you want them to freely give over something that they don't want to give, right? You already see what, in a sense, all of the tribes and the Native Americans have had to do, right? They, in a sense, have themselves separated from America. So they have their land, right? And they have their own government, and, however it is that they decide to go buy things. Black people are, in a sense, not even that uniformed at the moment in time to decide to go under one banner so that we can create our own black government that basically represents us and our needs and the things that, we want, to come out with one full-fledged statement. Even amongst the things that we all want, we're still divided. This is why you have so many people that are under different brandings, right? So because of, being so divided, this is why it's so hard, to get a variety of things done. So up until realistically black people technically copy what it is that the Native Americans are out here doing when it comes to them and their government and them representing themselves and coming together as a group, up until we can actually get that together, this is when all of this nonsense is going to stop, where it's not going to be any more conversation. It's going to be when and, how are you going to basically make this money transpire. So, like I said before, to the people who basically voted for Biden, please let me know your feelings in the comment section below, because I would really like to know how it is that you guys feel about the fact that your candidate who you voted for, right, in a sense, the lesser of the two evils, decided that he wants to add in other individuals, right, as a part of the reparations, even though they've already been getting money. And then also added on to the fact, I've done a multitude of videos covering that you have what's called $5 Indians, which means that you have Europeans that signed a piece of paper a long time ago, and it basically lists them as Native Americans. Even still to this day, you have a lot of Europeans that have no type of Native American ancestry, can't even prove it, not even a drop of blood, but yet they're still getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, by falsely claiming that they're something that they're not. So what's to stop people from doing the same exact thing after these reparations are basically given to the black community? That's all I'm saying.